So here we are, aboard little Rona once again. I just left Falmouth, which you can see in the background there, about an hour ago. It's now 7 o'clock in the morning, Sunday the 30th of June. Had to leave the boat there for about 3 weeks, and there's a reasonable week of weather forecast without any gales in it, so hopefully we'll be back in Brighton in 4 or 5 days or thereabouts. At the moment, very little apparent wind at all. We are due to have some wind a little bit later this afternoon, or a bit later this morning in fact. I haven't even bothered putting the mainsail up yet. I'm thinking about when we do get some wind, it should be coming off the right quarter somewhere, so I might just try the big Genoa and see how we do just sailing with that. Anyway, we'll see what happens a bit later. So here's another quick update. Can you notice that it's a little bit quieter? That's because the engine's off. The very first time I've switched the engine off since setting off from Abu Dhabi in Cardigan Bay, and having left the boat in Falmouth for 3 weeks. So we're now sailing between Falmouth, and I'm actually heading for Stark Bay, which is right in the southwest corner of Lyme Bay. So yeah, we are sailing. There we are, look at that. We've got both sails up. We're currently doing 4.6 knots, and I will settle quite happily for 4.6 knots. Yeah, so there we are. Hopefully we'll be able to keep this up for a while longer. I think the wind is going to increase a little bit, which is good because it will get a little bit more speed. At the moment we're going against the tide as well, although there's very little tidal flow out here. Yeah, just absolutely lovely to be sailing. Really nice and peaceful without the engine. And while I'm waiting for the kettle to boil, a little view from inside the boat. I mean, at the moment the tiller pilot is obviously is doing a good job of steering. Tiller pilots do struggle when it gets a bit sort of heavier weather and heavier sea conditions. I haven't had to play around with the wind vane self-steering yet. Obviously when I get that working, I mean today I would be using that. However, there we are. Right, the kettle's just about boiling. On this boat, you've got these 2 windows which are ever so useful. Being able to to check for traffic whilst one is making one's cup of tea. Yeah. I'm not sure how well you can see the chart plotter. I'm using Navionics on an old tablet, an old Nexus tablet. It works really well. Lots of people use this. People sail around the world with it. And if you can see it, you'll see in the top left of the screen it shows the current speed. So 4.1 knots at the minute. It has dropped below 3 knots a couple of times, and I think if it does consistently go below 3 knots, I'll have to put the engine back on again. The number in the top right of the screen is time to destination, so that's another 9 hours to go at this speed anyway. And the bottom right shows the time of arrival at the destination, which, as I said before, is Start Bay. I don't want to arrive into Start Bay after it's gone dark, basically, because I've never been before. I've got to anchor, so if the speed does drop below 3 knots, the time in the bottom right goes to sort of 11 o'clock at night, midnight, around that sort of time. I certainly don't want to be arriving at that time. So anyway, this is just what I'm keeping an eye on. As you can see, the speed's gone down to 3.5 knots now. Yeah, so we just keep an eye on things as we go along as regards the time. But the sailing's lovely, I have to say. Really nice. The sea conditions have calmed down a bit now as well. It'll be slack water right about now, so the tide will shortly start to flow in the direction that we're going in, so in our favour. So that'll help push things along a bit as well. But yeah, very, very nice sailing. You can see the Genoa's been flapping around a bit, so I've rolled some of it away just to you can probably see, you can see there I've just rolled some of it away just to make things a little bit more peaceful. We're still doing about 4 knots, which is not too bad. Arrival time according to that is 8:30 in the evening, which would be okay. It's still light until about 9:30 at the moment. Don't know if you can see there. Should be able to see. That's probably not going to come out very clearly now I've zoomed in, but Eddystone Lighthouse. So that is about halfway. So yeah. Still sailing. And I forgot to mention I've got my Cornish pasty for lunch. Speaking to my mum on the phone yesterday, and I said I'm going into Falmouth for a Cornish pasty. She said, why don't you get two and then you'll have one for tomorrow? So I did it, and I'm very glad that I did. It's just warming up nicely in the sun, and I'm going to have it after we've passed Eddystone. Just after 1:30 then, and you'll notice that the engine's back on, the wind's died down a bit and gone more into the west, so the Genoa wasn't seeing anything of the wind at all. So that's now completely rolled away. I've still got the main set for a bit of stability, and I'm just about to have my lunch, which is just sitting there for me, look. So yeah, got 5 hours of sailing in there without the engine, so that's really good. Sure why, but the sea's pretty lumpy as well. Never comes out on the video, but apologies for the wind noise, it's probably quite bad on this bit. So there is Salcombe, just closing now on the lovely Devon coastline. We have about an hour to go until we round the corner into Lyme Bay. You can see the headland just there. So yeah, we're about 11 hours in now. 11 hours since we left Falmouth. And about an hour and a half to go till we reach the anchorage. Sea's getting quite rolly now, but it'll be fine once we get round the corner. Hopefully it'll be much calmer than this. Well, it will be much calmer than this. Yeah, beautiful coastline. Been a lovely sunny afternoon actually. I'm actually wearing shorts and a t-shirt. Makes a difference from the last two legs when it was full oilies, hats, gloves, everything. It was only 3 weeks ago. almost at the point now. I'm about to turn around the corner and head into the anchorage. So here we are in the anchorage. It's pretty windy actually. The wind's blowing quite strongly off the land. So that's why the water's so flat here. There might be some wind noise actually on the video when I hold the camera up a little bit, but it's absolutely beautiful. Really, really nice. The sun won't be very long before that it goes down. Yeah, really, really nice. You can still see the lighthouse there. And yeah, this is the start. This is the start of Lyme Bay, the very southwesternmost point in Lyme Bay. So yeah, tomorrow I should be going straight across Lyme Bay. Again, it's about a 12-hour journey I've got tomorrow, and round into Portland and into Weymouth. So yeah, I've just downloaded an anchoring app, Anchor Lite it's called. You can get Anchor Pro, the version with no adverts basically and a few add-ons, but it's very reassuring. You press go once the anchor is set, and then it monitors your GPS position and lets you know how far you are from the position when you pressed go. So I've been looking at that and just making sure that the anchor's dug in, which it seems to be. So yeah, everything seems fine, and I'll probably see you in the morning.